Hi, welcome to an Arduino tutorial by Robojax. In this video, we are going to learn how we can control this 28BYJ-48 tiny stepper motor with 3 push buttons. Press this button, motor rotates to the right, stop to the left, or maybe directly to the right, or just stop. Also to announce that I've launched my Patreon account. If you want to support me and get access to the behind scene and extra material, you can visit my Patreon account from the link below the video in the description. You can get the code for this by clicking on the link below the video in the description, which will take you to robojax.com/learn/Arduino. Let's get started with this. This push button will control the clockwise, and this will be for counterclockwise, and the middle one to stop the motor. When I press this button, motor rotates to the right, stop to the left, or maybe directly to the right, or just stop. I've seen a lot of requests in regards to controlling a stepper motor using 3 push buttons, so I spent some time and wrote this code that you can press one button and it rotates in one direction, the other button it makes it rotate in the other direction, and you can also stop it, or at the middle of rotation you can directly change the rotation on the other way. It's not just using these push buttons to control the motor, but actually you will have a lot of other applications. For example, you can have a sensor that can detect an obstacle, for example ultrasonic sensor or infrared sensor or distance sensor or other type of switch, and once you detect the position or the distance, instead of this push button, you can modify this code very easily to control this motor by those means. This makes it very easy to use. It could be wheel of a smart car, or maybe a robotic arm that detects an obstacle and stops or changes the direction. Whether if you're studying mechatronic, electrical engineering, hobbyist, researcher, or high school student, I have an Arduino course that will teach you from ground up Arduino. My Arduino course at Udemy is arranged such that all the material are structured from absolute beginner to advanced, including all the library, codes, schematic diagram, and explanation step by step for all the projects are available to you. In no time, the knowledge that you gain from my course in Arduino, you will be able to implement it and build cool robotic or mechatronic projects that is beneficial for you and people around you. The link for my course on Udemy is below the video in the description. You can visit it now. Here is how you connect to Arduino if you power this motor from Arduino. Because it needs a little power, very little power, it works. So you connect this pin on the left side to the ground of Arduino, this wire I've inserted, and the second pin will be connected to VCC or to 5 volts in here. So ground, that is the 5 volts on Arduino. This is the jumper. You leave the jumper as is. Now, this motor can be powered separately in case you want to save. Let's say you're running Arduino and this device with a small battery and this one with a larger battery, or maybe this is with a small power adapter and this is with a larger power adapter. You can use different motor even. For that reason, they put a jumper here. So if you're using external power to power this motor, remove this. And now the power to the motor is disconnected, but this power from Arduino will feed the IC. So you will connect your external power in here. This is, suppose, your external power. Once you connect it, the power goes to the motor. But if you put this jumper and use it with Arduino, still it's fine. From Arduino the power comes and passes through this jumper and goes to the motor. And this is the pin on this side. You can see the path here. The path is coming here and it goes to the first pin in this side. If you look here, the first pin, the red is the power pin for motor. And here's the wiring on the actual board. The motor comes with a connector. I've just inserted it here, and you don't have to worry about it because you cannot insert this incorrectly. And in here, the board have been labeled from N1 to N4, and we are not using 5, 6, and 7 because this has 7 input. And here N1 is connected to 10, N2 using gray have been connected to 11, and then purple from 3 is connected to 12, and blue from N4 have been connected to 13. The last pin here from this module is a ground, have been connected to the ground of Arduino. When you're using external battery, make sure to connect your battery. This is my wire for the battery. Connect your battery to the ground because you must have also a common ground, and connect the 5 volts from your battery by removing this pin and connecting it to the last pin. If you're not using external power and you want to connect this directly to Arduino, connect it in the second pin from this side, and then put this jumper here. If you do not put this jumper, it will not work. This is supplying power to the motor from that 5 volts, so you must put it here. So this goes to the ground, and this goes now to 5 volts of. And here the push buttons have been arranged exactly the same way and the same color that I've shown you on the wiring diagram, and I've inserted it in such a way that this pin is connected to this blue line, which I've used it as a ground using this black wire. I've connected it to ground of Arduino at this point, and this push button is also connected to the ground. This is also connected to the ground. The left wire of this push button, this one is connected using white wire to pin 2, and the second one have been connected using gray wire to pin 3, and the third one using a purple wire. The third one from the left side have been connected using purple wire to pin 4 of Arduino. I've spent almost 1.5 days working on the library and testing this module, studying about the material, preparing, writing code, and testing it and recording and uploading so you can easily use this code and learn about this. The least that you can do for me is to click on the subscribe button and leave the notification on. It's really appreciated. Thank you. Let me now explain the code. This portion of the code is exactly the same as the original code for this stepper motor. I've defined switch CW clockwise for pin 2 and switch stop for pin 3 and switch CCW counterclockwise for pin 4. These 3 pins are used to control the motor. Are exactly the same as before. We have pole step 0 and direction status 3. This 3 means stop. Initially we just put this value, but these variables do not change them. They are used within the code. Inside the setup, this is exactly the same as before. We are defining 4 pins as an output, and these are new in this section. Switch CW, which is pin 2, 3, and 4, we are defining them as input, and here I use pull-up, and pull-up I have explained it. This input pull-up, the pull-up eliminates the usage of a resistor for the switch. So this is an input with a pull-up. When there is no connection, it always pulls up, which means keeps the pin at high status for the 3 pin. And inside the loop, we check each pin using digital read. Switch CCW, we check the counterclockwise switch, and we see if it is low. When the button is pressed, the value goes low, and when you release the button, it will be high. So we check if it is pressed, then we set the direction status as 1, and we check CW. If it is low, if the other button is pressed, we set the direction as 2. So 1 is for one direction, 2 is for the other direction, and 3 is stop. And we check if the stop switch is equal low, then we set the status equal 3. So this is done. We set the status and we check if the direction status is equal 1. Then we increment the steps. We go up to 8 and then drive stepper pull step. This is the exact code that was used in initial introduction. And then if the direction is equal to, we do decrement. So this is increment, decrement. The rest of the code is exactly the same as before, and we wait 1 millisecond at the end of the code, and the loop continuously checking the switches or running the motor. Now drive stepper is another function that receives an integer, and here is that, and we receive an integer and we call it C here when it arrives, and then we use digital write pin 1, and then we say pole 1 C. This C means whatever the value is between 0 to 7. So we pass 0 or 1 or 2. So this 0 at pole 1 means pole 1 of these values. 0 means here, 1 means here, 2 and 3 and 4, and 2 means pole 2. It will pick up some value from here. 3 it will pick up something from here, and 4 something from this array. And in the same time we have to send command to all 4 pins in order to control the motor. So every time you send one value, all of these will be executed immediately. In the demonstration, I've connected it using Arduino power. There is no external power. It's directly connected. The motor is now stopped. If I press stop, nothing happens. I'm pressing the right one, which is clockwise, so that the motor rotates clockwise. And then if I want to stop it, just stop, or counterclockwise. Now this rotates counterclockwise, or just stop, clockwise, counterclockwise. You can change the code, so it can be used for other purposes. For example, instead of this push button, you have some kind of sensor, ultrasonic sensor, or maybe infrared sensor or laser sensor that detects some distance, and when the object is close, you can stop the motor if this is connected to the wheels, or maybe a robotic arm or any other application that you have. The function of these buttons can be used to control this motor using other means instead of these push buttons. If you're interested to control the stepper motor using keyboard of your computers, try it now. And if I press the middle one and enter, stop, J, enter, continuously controlling it, so you can see also the lights here. Because the speed is so fast, you do not see the sequence of the lights. Stop, left, stop. You can also go from right to left. To watch that video, look at the link in the description below this video. Thank you for watching. This was how to control this stepper motor using 3 push buttons. And if you like this video and learn something, please thumb up. If you have comment or question, post it in the comment section below. I always try to answer and reply. And if you have not subscribed, please do so. You can get updates of my upcoming videos.